Well, okay. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Quasor and Paul. Good to see you all this evening. Okay, no streaming for Jeff. Okay. Cool. Hope all's well with everybody. It's probably not a great sound for the background sound because there's too much going on. So let's try, see if that does better. I don't remember. Probably not that either. Yeah, that'll be better. Okay. Anyway, hey, Danny, good to see you. Hi. Let's see. Okay, cool. Let's just hop right in. While I still have energy. I'm over the cold mostly, but still a little wiped out. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into what was in the jam. Let me go ahead and push the thing on that, and I'll get set up. And we'll start with, I'm going to stop this. And first up in the jam was Pigments. There's a button here somewhere. There it is. Okay, so Pigments, and let me turn off the other things that were involved, which would be that and that. So Pigments, slightly modified version of one of my pads. And then on top of that, adding that motion stuff, let me make this a little smaller. Adding that motion stuff, I had a little bit of this FX motions going on. And all I'm doing really is modulating the filter with this kind of little Euclidean pattern. And I think that function brings some noise in and out or something. There's a drive, a little overdrive going on. So that's pretty much all that's in that. And then beyond that, on this same track, little phonolith cascade for some heavy diffuse reverb. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We're going to go ahead and drop that back out, and that back out. For now, don't let me forget to turn those back on later. Next track was Contact Instrument, and just Scene Lotus. And of course I have the XY pad on that to move things around. I have some limits on the way that's set because I didn't want to come down below there. So basically I have the y-axis scaled from 50% to 100, and then the X can go there to the rest of the way. Because beyond that corner that I've got defined there, it's not great. At least I didn't like it for tonight. So anyway, little Native Instruments Scene Lotus there. And then in the next place I had little sequence going in Ultra. Sequence is being driven by Stepic. And let me do this. Whoops. There we go. Again, I've got my XY pad going. And in Ultra, make that a little bigger if we can. I've got the XY pad driving the second filter, I think. If I catch it, I got to catch up to it. Well, maybe I didn't assign that to anything. I may just be letting that run. I can't remember. I was fooling around with stuff at the last minute, so. Anyway, so that's that one. The bass line was being handled by Polybrute. And it's just running a simple sequence. With a kind of a mysterious walk thing going on. The leads were take 5 with the take 5 patch running through FX Ambient. So let me turn the effect off for the moment, so you can hear just the patch. So that is just the, hey Jeff, welcome. So that is the Take 5 by itself. So the mod wheel brings in second oscillator and FM at the same time. So Jeff, if you subscribe and ring the bell, you'll get a notification every time I go live. I don't say that often, so. So anyway, I was running that into the FX ambient thing that's on the joystick, or on the XY. This particular FX ambient patch uses the harmonic generator, the organist harmonic generator. You get every once in a while, if I shut up, you might hear just a little bit of organ sneaking in behind this. Oh, okay. I get it, Jeff. Oh, I've also got Aftertouch driving the filter on the Take 5. All right, so let's see. And then finally, well, next up in the jam is, this is just the modular. Almost the same patch as last week. I did add, I changed the lead waveform to square or pulse, and I have that being modulated by, well, let's take a look. Let's see. Which direction, which camera? Let's go to camera 2. And once that comes up, I'm going to swing the camera over there. So hold on to your lunches, people, and dinner or whatever. I'm going to move fast. Let's see. So we're going to run down over to Eurorack. And so let's see. Let's jump down. So basically I've got now, can't really see exactly. I've got a LFO coming out of the function junction now, driving the pulse width modulation in on the 110 module. And if you hang on, I'll jump down in there. So you can see that comes out there, goes into the that's the pulse width mod in. And everything else is pretty much the same patch. The only thing, like I said, I changed the waveform on the 110 module. I'm also driving the Wasp a little harder this time than before. So I've got basically 2 modulation sources going into the frequency on the Wasp. Mod wheel is coming in here, and then I've also got an LFO. I'm using the second oscillator in the 2600 as an LFO, and that's driving the second frequency input on the Wasp. And like I said, pushing audio into it a little harder than last time, and so it's a little grindier and whatnot. So this will move back here and get everything set up and take us back where we were. So, oh, excuse me, guys. Let's see. So, yeah, whiplash. Unfortunately, I don't have a, in order to not show camera moves on air, I'd have to have like 4 cameras, and I'm not going to go there. For one thing, I'd need a new switcher and all kinds of other stuff. So anyway, let's see what's going on. That was the only other thing in the jam was this. Let's see, this contact instrument. This is Myth Rhythm from Ocean Swift, and it's just playing this groove. And that is running into the Beam Haze module, and from there into ROM. So that is what's in the jam tonight. So anyway, let's keep moving. Keep moving. Let me go there, push that button, and okay. So let us stop the drums, play that pad. Okay, so as you all know, I'm switching, or I've switched over to Bitwig, and I'll tell you what, it's being a lot of fun. You know, learning the new DAW. It's not drastically different from Ableton Live, but it's drastically different from Ableton Live. I mean, you know, it's like conceptually it's very similar, but it's got a lot of differences and a lot of really neat stuff that I just couldn't do before. It's in some ways making life a lot easier. I think last time I was talking about a few things in MIDI transform functions that I was missing from Ableton Live, and I subsequently found most of them. So if we have a sequence opened up here, and let's pull that up so you can see a little better. I was saying I couldn't find things like like I said, the transforms that are in Ableton Live, and some of them still aren't there. Like in Ableton Live, I could go in and do, oh, you're not seeing this. You want that. In Ableton Live, you can do things like you can invert a sequence, or you can do you can add harmonies to sequences. All kinds of stuff you can do to a sequence or a clip. And they're not all here, but there's some other stuff here that is also equally interesting. So I'm just getting into now that I've found them, I'm just getting into it. But you know, you can do things like if I do all select all the notes, I get another contextual set of menus over here. And of course, I can do all the usual stuff like scale velocity and do velocity spreads. I can do chants on things, and repeats, and I can do things like in the chance operators, or not the chance operators, but in dealing with loops, I can set it up so that a particular note plays every time it comes through, or never on the first time through. You know, it doesn't do it unless the last note played. All that kind of stuff. So that kind of logic is there, and actually a lot of that's not in Ableton Live. So really, once I got into digging around and learning some more stuff, the only thing that I can't find is invert. And so let's choose a different sample to look at for or sequence to look at for this. So in Ableton Live, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. In Ableton Live, I could take this sequence and highlight the whole thing and flip it upside down. And maintain keeping it in key. Yeah, invert. And I can't, if it's here somewhere, I don't know where it is, I'll find it eventually if it's here. But basically just take this entire, can't show you, the entire sequence that you're seeing here, like this F3 that's on the bottom becomes the B4 on the top, and the B4s on the top flip down to the F3s. So, you know, like I said, this would flip to the top, this would flip to the bottom, and everything else would flip as well. Now, I think that's coming in. Some interesting versions of that are coming, I think, in version 6. I'm not sure. I was watching some stuff today, and some of the stuff coming up in version 6 is going to be really cool. I'm not on the beta bandwagon. I know Quasar is. So the other thing that's coming in version 6, which is supposed to ship in a couple of days, is just an amazing amount of modulation editing. And yeah, note wrap is, oh, that's one thing that Bitwig has that Ableton doesn't, and it's killing me, and it's not the note wrap, but note chasing, which, and so, yeah, it's different but not the same. So note chasing is really cool. I had that in Studio One, and the thing with note chasing is if I were to start in Ableton Live, if I were to start this sequence right here, okay, this note that's under the playhead would not sound. It wouldn't start playing till it hit this note. So with note chase, if I hit play, theoretically, this A4 is going to play. Yeah, Logic does that too, but Ableton Live does not. I think Cubase does it. I think Cubase did it, you know, back in 1990 or something crazy like that. It wasn't that long ago that I was using Cubase. Maybe it was. I don't know. It was a long time ago that I was using Cubase. So I like that because, you know, for a couple of reasons. One, if you're working on a sequence and testing, you know, it's you kind of want to pick up in progress if you're working on a section of a sequence, but the note that precedes it doesn't, or that may bleed into it, doesn't start where you're working, in the region that you're working. So I'm happy that that's back. You know, people gripe about the people complain about this piano roll editor, but I think it's perfectly fine. I don't have any problems with it. It does everything I ask it to do. So anyway, let's see. As far as intuitiveness, yeah, I can say it gets even better in 6, and that's what, you know, I think there's nothing wrong with this as it sits. I don't think. I don't know what people are complaining about. Yeah, and like I said, what I was seeing in stuff for version 6, it's even better. So 2 days, and I might wait a couple extra days after that before I run the update. But Paul, you're asking how intuitive would you rate it? Coming from live is fairly trivial, yes. I mean, there are some things that are, you know, flipped around in different places, and you got to go digging for some stuff. I know one thing that turns people coming from live and many other apps or many other DAWs over is that the menu system is kind of non-standard. So it doesn't follow, in my case, the Mac conventions of a menu. In Windows, it doesn't follow the Windows conventions of a menu. What it does do is it's the same on a Mac and on Windows. So, like, in Ableton Live, for instance, setup, where you're getting your system set up and that kind of thing, it's in 2 different places, whether you're on a Windows or a Mac. In Bitwig, setup's right here. All your important settings are right here. So, you know, and it's there whether it's PC or Mac or, you know, and you know, the file menu is laid out the same on both platforms. So is the play menu. You know, all of it's this. So it gives a more consistent user interface if you're in a situation where you're moving with moving between platforms. I have not played with display profiles yet, and I'm single monitor. So let's see, if I do, we'll go to camera 2, and let me show you the wide view down. There are more than one monitor. There's more than one monitor. Camera 2, wide mid. So this doesn't quite get quite all of it. I don't think I can go any wider than that. Let's see, can I? Yeah, that's as wide as we go. But this is my, this is my work zone. So I see, my keyboard with its control, and it's got great control over things within the DAW. The DAW is here. And so when I'm working on music, I'm concentrated in my little triangle, speakers, the whole thing. So I can control the hardware synths mostly from, from here. I can play the modular from here. I would love to have an ultra wide monitor that would let me do 2 monitors when I'm in, a double width monitor when I'm in production, music production, and then when I'm in doing video, I could show, the standard 16:9 version of the DAW on one window and something else on the other side. So, I mean, yeah, you can set up virtual workspaces. I'm not sure. I've never really messed with virtual workspaces much. I mean, I haven't done any of that since playing with Xenix years and years and years ago. So anyway, to the left of me is where we start to get over to the Mac. The little monitor above the Mac is just my confidence monitor for the shows. My iPad sits down here with chat and my show notes. Asaph, good to see ya. How you doing? And then the hardware synths are here. And then I know Quasar has seen me bouncing around between stuff while we've been working on a project. Let's see, over to the other side, which is wide right. We'll spin the camera over there real quick. So this is my cockpit tour, I guess. I haven't done this in a while. So over here, the modular with the KeyStep 37, and then the Mac Mini. And the Mac Mini during a live stream is handling the chat management, it's handling stream management, and I'm doing a backup recording on the Mac of the show, and something else is going on over here. During the jams, where we're doing the group jams, that is handling the feed out. So my video going out to everybody else for inclusion in their video is going off on that machine. And then what comes back to me, there's a Chromebook hidden up underneath there that's doing the display for that, and also handling the green screen version of the chat, which looks like that. So as soon as that lower third gets out of the way, I say as soon as that lower third gets out of the way. So like if someone types something in the chat, these two green browser windows are basically on green and are chroma keyed. So you see that one that pops up. So that's what handles that overlay that you guys see. So if I take that out, you'll see that that's still there. So anyway, that's how the magic happens here. And then I've got down under the desk, there's an iPad that controls the mixer interface and all kinds of other stuff. So let's see. So anyway, I'm having a blast, learning and getting around Bitwig. I was struggling with some stuff. I won't say struggling. But I was starting to get into Max for Live and found it completely opaque. I mean, that's really the only way to describe it. Opaque, obtuse, yeah. All kinds of negative adjectives are really what I would say about it. But I'm already building stuff in the grid. You know, like if we get to, I think on this track is where I have it. Let's see. Nope, not this one. Let me figure out, let me get these, all these windows out of the way. One of these tracks, not that one, must be, oh come on, one of these tracks I've got my cool toy. Maybe I don't have it in here on this yet. I guess I don't, shoot. Well, I've got this thing that I built. We're gonna put it in. I built my very own gizmo in the grid already. Let's see if I can remember how to find it here. Click here, and if I type, here it is. So I did my own version of a thing that put bass in mono. So anything below, you know, any of your bass becomes centered so that you don't have phase cancellation and other weird stuff going on. So, you know, I got in, and my version is actually, let's get that up on the screen here. Let's see, DAW. So, you know, I decided I wanted to be slick about it and make it all adjustable and all mixable and all kinds of stuff. And I couldn't find one, a pre-made one or a pre-made thing that did what I wanted. There's a thing in there's a thing in Ableton Live called Utility, which is just a simple module. It does volume control, and it has a bass mono, and you select the frequency and you can mix. So, you know, so this is in the grid in Bitwig, and you know, I got the bright idea. Well, why don't I use a crossover network to do the division point instead of, you know, just piping things through a filter. I mean, a crossover is two filters essentially. So this lets me control separately the width of the bass and the width of the high frequencies, and I can set that crossover frequency with what goes to narrow and what goes to wide, or vice versa. Then I can control the levels. There's a makeup gain, and then out the audio goes. That took me about, well, once I got into the way I wanted it to work, I think that took me about 20 minutes to put together and fine tune. TCL TK. I'm not sure what you're talking there. Yeah, I mean, there's tools. There are tools in other, you know, in other DAWs or in other things that do it. There's lots of tools to do it. I mean, you know, when I was loading this one up, I'll just drop this out here. You know, we got mono that bass. I don't know how that works. And then this is my original version. My original version of this was a lot simpler. Actually, I don't know if this version has the crossover or not. Whoops. Okay. Yeah, this is actually the second version. I didn't add the width for the width control for the high frequencies in this version. So anyway, so it, you know, this works. Oh, I didn't see it. Anyway, insert mid-side splitter. Okay, that's, yeah, I could, yeah, that's another way to do it. There's so many ways to do it, and you know, there's a, it's like a complete modular system that's easy to use. It's actually, it reminds me a lot of Reactor, of Native Instruments Reactor. But I think it's more approachable than Reactor. So it's, you know, it's really, really cool. As we discussed over the last week, in last week's show, or maybe even the week before, it makes the XY thing just work. I mean, once I figured the XY modulator out, it was like, oh yeah. And the fact that if I've got that modulator on three different devices on the channel, I can, let's see, this guy. It'll take a second to get there. It's got to set everything up. Here we go. Boom. Okay, so if I go to, which channel do I have things set up where both are running? Let me find something here real quick. If I don't have it all set up, I'll set it up. Oh, I know where we'll see, where we can see it for sure. But this one's just one. That's just one. What I'm looking for, one has got 2 XY pads going. And I don't have any set up at the moment. All right. Well, we'll do one. We'll actually do one coming up in the in a little bit, where I can easily, using the Control S, I can select with a button press which device in the track I'm controlling with the XY pad. And there was no way to do that in Ableton Live. I could get it to follow the track finally, the selected track, but not a device within the track. I gotta thank Quasar for you know, kicking me in the butt to do this, and Jeff too. I mean, they've both been, hey Mixmaster, you know, they were both kept saying, you know, yeah, Bitwig will do that. Bitwig will do that. You know, so, you know, Quasar gave me the fuel, and so I got into one of the versions that I could actually start to play with stuff. And I'll tell you what, you know, it was 5-10 minutes into fooling around. I was like, yeah, okay, gotta go, gotta make the move. So anyway, that's that. Let's see, so let's come back to here, and speaking of the XY pad, I ordered, I told you last week, I ordered the AmpTone XY pad mini kit. It arrived today. One of us oh my. So yeah, you guys both got me on the path, you know. Now I still have Ableton Live. It's still on the machine. And so it's not going to go away completely anytime soon. So, oh, another thing that just, you know, I can have 2 projects open at once if I want to move things back and forth. Only one controls the audio engine, which makes perfect sense. But, you know, it's easier. It becomes easier if I want to. Ableton Live has a mechanism for me to use tracks or stuff from a previous project in a new project. You have to go down, dig through the menus, and find the other project, and open it up, and bring it over, you know, grab the thing over and drag it over and hope it's the right one. In Bitwig, I can open the 2 projects, flip back and forth between them, and just copy stuff from one to the other. Isn't there a dance tool? No, there's no dance tool in Ableton Live, and you know, it was made for dance. I don't get it. So anyway, let's go. I want to go ahead, and I've looked in the box, but I'll show you what all is in the box for the XYMIDI pad, because we were talking in the past, a couple of weeks ago, about placement. So let me get that to happen. And go here, make the camera 2. And so we've got the thing in the box. It plays the thumpa thumpa bass, Mixmaster. So in the box we got the incredibly complex instruction sheet. But this tells me the stuff like the depth and the hole size of the holes that you need to cut if you were mounting this in a guitar, which is what it's designed for. And it tells me, depending on the mode, what the MIDI CCs that are spitting out are. Anyway, all the stuff in the box. Also, we've got, this is the actual XY pad itself. So it's a glass pad. They've got this little diffusion piece of plastic that we discussed in the past. I'm probably not going to use because I'll do something different, because I don't want the glowy thing. Let's do this. Let's move this down here. So this is the pad. It's got this, you know, delicate ribbon cable coming off. Let's see if I can get this back in the bag very gently. Come on, in you go. In you go. And there's the bezel, which we'll take a look at in a second. Also in there is a bunch of wiring harness stuff, switches, pots. It's got a battery holder. I'm going to replace that for a 9-volt power source if I can't figure out a way to pick it off the inside the keyboard itself. The idea is I'm going to mount this where the phone is in the long run. So screws, and then this is the, whoops. This is the magic module. I guess there's like an ESP32 or something in there, and a multicolor LED that does funny things. And there's a way to turn that off, as it turns out. So anyway, that's all that. So I was starting to fool around with placement a little earlier, and I'm glad I actually didn't wait for the bigger one. The bigger one would not have, I don't think, would have worked out well. So what I want to be able to do is do this, and I got to back out a little bit so that I can have my, yeah, kind of, sort of, Dremel time live with the keyboard still right. No, that's not going to be the way it happens. So the first thing that I'm going to do, here installs a whammy bar. So what I'm going to do first to kind of do some testing is, you know, the first thing is that I'll build it on a block that sits in here just to test to make sure everything works the way I want it to. But what I want to be able to do when I'm using this, I want to be able to rest the heel of my hand on the mod wheel. You saw me doing this tonight when I was in the opening jam. I had the heel of my hand resting on the mod wheel, so I could move the mod wheel while I was controlling the XY pad at the same time. My original idea was that I was going to put this up here, nice, neat, centered, you know, in line with all the other controls, because that would look really good, you know. But I can't reach, I can't quite reach all the way up into the pad to do that. So what I think I've decided I'm going to do is just I'll slide it down here, center it over the logo, and I can just reach up there. So the other thing we were discussing in the past was, could I just flush mount the thing? And I would need to, if I wanted to flush mount this instead of actually cutting the whole correct sized hole in there. I'm putting some mounting behind this. This is, let's see. This is flat. So there's no ridge that's cut out the size of the sensor itself. So I can't just mount this flat. It's going to stick up. So my options are to make a second bezel essentially that's got a larger opening. Easier to see if I have this side. Has an opening the size of the touch plate. That would avoid having to be a big hole in the top here. But I still have to get the data cable out. There's a hold switch that mounts, and power switch, and all kinds of other stuff. So that would, I'm going to have to do something to, either raise this up slightly, or I'm going to have to go ahead and cut the exact size hole that I want, or that I need in here for the plate, so the plate mounts flush, and then the bezel would surround the plate, or kind of lock the plate in place. I can absolutely do the test. The test case, so to speak, is going to be a box. There'll be a box that sits here. But as far as that goes, playing that, I mean, even with the phone that I've been using, that's not a very big lift. It's only about 3/8 of an inch, and it's not as comfortable as I would like. So I'll fool around with it. I'll come up with something, obviously, because I've made the investment in the parts. The other thing about one of the cool things, this puts out actual MIDI, which the phone does not. So I'm no longer going to have to go through the crazy Apple MIDI MIDI studio thing. So that'll be nice. And what I'm thinking I might do is just run a MIDI cable from that to the MIDI in on this keyboard, and use this as the way to get that into the system, as opposed to having to run another cable over to the MIDI interface. Ribbon control. I've got a ribbon right here on the Control S. I've already got a ribbon here. If you go to AmpTone's website, they've got, not AmpTone. If you go to the Bella website, bella.io, they've got touch strips and all kinds of other things that as parts. You have to build all your own supporting electronics to go with it, but they've got touch strips, and they've got an XY pad that's really cool. I think I showed that a couple of weeks ago, or a week or so ago. I think it came out like I became aware of it after much searching the day after I ordered this guy. And I'll tell you, ordering stuff from Poland is not for the faint of heart. That became a slight adventure. I mean, it wasn't bad. They made it as easy as they could. So anyway, so that's here. That's coming. That's a thing. I said we were going to play with effects tonight, and we're going to. So let's go ahead and get into that. I've got a track set up for that here on the DAW. And we'll play with some new stuff, and I can show in this next part the XY pad back and forth thing. So let's do that, and I'm going to go ahead and stop the pigments pad, and here we go. There we go. So basically, let me turn off all the effects. And I'm going to pop that up here. So I got a whole bunch of new effects to play with that we will talk about And they're not, I'm not going to talk about them in the order that they're in the channel strip. But we're starting out with just a fairly simple vital patch. Now I have XY control. Actually, let's do this. Let me back this off a little bit. So XY control, right now it's tied to filter, I think, in the vital patch. So I can set the filter as I want. Now I can switch over the next thing in here. Let me turn it on. The next effect in here is that effects ambient thing that I like so much. When I select effects ambient here on the Control S, that makes it active, and now my XY control is controlling that. You can see it if I pop this guy out. And I'm no longer affecting the filter in Vital. And that was something I could not do in Ableton Live in any way, shape, or form. We were talking about doing, trying to do Max for Live stuff, and it just wasn't there, just not doable. And this XY controller modulator just does it. And somebody at Bitwig figured out that people who are playing are gonna want to be able to do this, and it just boom. I didn't have to do anything besides drop the thing on there and hook it up to the controls that I wanted to use. It's just like, I'm like, why didn't the folks at Ableton think of this? And then I go back. So, very cool, makes me very happy. So, moving along. First up in my cavalcade of new effects to talk about. We started to talk about this last week, and then I ran out of myself. So I'm going to start with this one. First, I got to thank Peter over at Dawesome. He sent Love 2 over to me. I wanted to talk about it last week, but we're getting it now. So Love 2, I don't know if anyone's familiar with Love, but Love 2 is basically an expansion, an improved version. Excuse me one sec. I just like being ill. No love in your life. What am I missing? I don't know. Anyway. Oh, no love, the plugin. Duh. So anyway, in the previous version of Love, the architecture or the arrangement of things was pretty much fixed. Oh, you got Trillion, cool. If you have, did you have Love, Jeff, the original version of Love? If you do, I think the upgrade price is only like 19 bucks. And I get no, like I say, Peter sent this over to me, but I'm not sponsored. This is not a sponsored video. No money changed hands. I don't, if you buy Love 2, I don't get anything for it. So all that stuff. Oh, okay. So yeah, if you're, obviously it's more expensive if you've not had it. So in the original version, this layout and what was in things was pretty much fixed. So in the new version, the flow is basically the same. Audio comes in, you go through a granular gizmo called Swarm. Let me turn all the rest of this stuff off. And so you've got granular processing. Let me open the filter up. Turn that down a little bit. There's 3 different modes of the granular processing. And you've got all the, you know, typical granular processing tools. You can set the percentage of times it's going to go up an octave, you know. You can transpose. Well, it's not, the thing is, it's not just granular. I mean, granular is at its heart. And I, you know, among other, it's one of those things that I love. And you can sync it, change the speed, you know, all this kind of stuff. Put it back there, it was a little more pleasing. And then for each of these slots, you have 6 slots in which you can put any number of, any number of different devices. Where is the, here it is. Nope, that's not. All right, I had this the other day. Boop-a-doop, come on. Come on, where is it? Oh, replace module. If it's empty, you just get the menu. So you go in here, I can replace this module with any number of things. So right now I got a grain delay in there, but I could put in choruses, filters, distortions, any number of things. And you can change the order, which is something that you couldn't do in the previous version. So this is, you know, a much improved as far as usability and functionality. And just like with the previous version, and with the effects sections in all of the Dawesome stuff, you mix with this your dry wet mix. In this version now, the controls are expanded a little bit for each module, and you get back to them by flipping that around with the gear. And I don't know why I put 2 grains modules in this, but I could turn the second one on. So you get phasing and all kinds of stuff. So I'm playing the filter in Vital into this. So this makes great atmospheres. It's just, you know. Yep, I think so. Well, you know, it's been longer than that, Quasor. I mean, you know, I think, geez, it's been. I can't remember when I got my lemon drop. What was that? 2021, something like that. That was when affordable granular. And actually, you know, shoot, I need to look something up. Because even before I had the lemon drop, I got the what's called Novum, I guess it is, from Dawesome, which is granular. Fragments is more recent than Novum. And you know, there's been other granular and hardware for you know, several years now. But I think it, like Quasar said, in 25, it was like everything was granular. And I think I will agree, it got a little overdone. Yeah, Maelstrom years ago, exactly. So granular is nothing new. And now I'm wondering, I'll look at something here. Doopy-doop, doopy-doop. Plug in. I'm reaching back here. I think Lunacy Beam is great. Beam is a that whole the whole Beam ecosystem is fantastic. Let's see. Do I have? I can't remember if there is a. Yeah. There was granular in Absinthe 25 years ago. So, you know, granular is nothing new. The Absinthe 5 is not a significant difference from Absinthe 1, to be honest with you. So, I mean, we've had granular with us for a long, long time. But you know, I guess the thing was, it came into its own, I guess, in you know, the mid-20s. So let's see. Beam won't keep logged in, huh? That's interesting. I've not had that problem. Yeah. That was enough. Okay. Well, so like anything, so there's a couple things, and if you look in this particular patch that I've got in Love too, you know, I've got more granular and more of the other, you know, overused effect in the planet, shimmer reverb, you know, than you can shake a stick at. The trick is, you know, you can put it all in there. The trick is not to, you know, to try to not overdo it. And I think that's when we see demos of, you know, of all the stuff, you know, and people are showing, you know, things like granular, and they're showing shimmer. You know, they turn it up all the way, you know, and it's too much. So the trick is to use it, but not be too extreme with it. I don't think this is too extreme. I could be wrong. I don't know. But I think this, in fact, I'm probably going to save this as a heavy modification of that original patch. At some point I will save this because I'm pretty happy with the way, yeah, it kind of rings into clouds, yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's, you know, Eno is, you know, kind of where I'm at, you know. Yeah, get the harmonics just right. If you get the shimmer set up right, it's a gorgeous thing. But like I said, a lot of people they cram it on, and the amount of it they put on is great if you're making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but it's not, it's not a people tend to bury stuff in it. So anyway, that's Love 2. Just wanted to show it real quick. It's now in my stable. I have both versions. And so we can go ahead and turn that off for the moment. So the other thing that I came across, this is kind of fun. This is something called Novagrid. And it's a sequenced set of, whoops, wrong thing. Sequenced set of effects, so to speak. Now these are kind of fixed as to what's in each slot. So let's turn them off here and here and here. We'll start with the Bit Crusher. So basically, I've got a modulation sequencer going down here that's modulating, in this case, the bit crush level. Indeed, indeed. I'm not a huge bit crush guy, but I think this does it pretty neat. And we can change you can change all kinds of things about the sequence. It's like I've got smoothing turned on this, and but you can take the smoothing out completely. Change the division, all that stuff. So basically, this has 4 of these things. One's driving a Bit Crusher. There's a filter. And these sequencers can all be different lengths and run at different rates. I think it's great subtly, and in some cases, going ahead and going overboard with it works great too. And now that but it has to be part of the design, or they always stepped. So if I crank the smoothing all the way up, the other thing you can do is I'd build it the simple way. I've only done this once or twice, but you can build all kinds of curves. Like I can take, I can build curves into the thing, and it'll do approximations. And then with the smoothing turned up, it gets, real nice. And it's a good sounding filter. They've got a whole bunch of different ones. And it's a fairly decently spec'd filter. You can set the cutoffs and the range of cutoffs that the modulation will create. And then you can change the the gate length, and if you turn the smoothing all the way off, you can't change the shape of or time duration of each step individually, no. If you want to do that, then you're into, there's other sequenced filters. I would probably do something like take a modulation lane out of Stepic or the filter or the sequencer that's in Bitwig, and use that to drive a filter, because you get more control that way. The other thing, the randomization control in this is pretty cool. Controlled randomization, so you can randomize individual controls. You can set up. You can say, I want to do this one, and this one, and then do a master randomize. I don't know what I'm overdriving, something. Could just be cranking the filter, I don't know. You can turn the amount of the filtering down. Let's see. Oh, another thing you can do is I can link to all or some of the individual lanes, and controls that you change on one will change the other as well. And you know what, Jeff? If I were thinking about that kind of modulation, there's stuff in Bitwig that will do it, and it's going to get even, apparently it's going to get even better in 6. So so anyway, you can do the same thing with volume. And pan. Go back to the low pass filter. Oh, I know what I need to do. Anyway, that's pretty cool. New. This is from the same guy who did Harmony Bloom. I still don't have much love for Harmony Bloom, but this is pretty cool, I think. And it wasn't horrifically expensive. I can't remember how much it was, but it wasn't horrific. And then so the other new effect to play with tonight, I was looking for a what is that? I don't know. I forgot what all I turned on here. I was looking for an oscilloscope plug-in. And somebody turned me on to this one. Oh, shoot. Plug-in scope. Occularscope, which is pretty nice. Does exactly what I wanted in an oscilloscope plug-in. You know? The thing that's nice about this one is that it's, oh, I know why we started looking at it. It was when we were doing some testing. I wanted to see scope traces. So this will do quarter note, full trace, or so it'll synchronize. If you've got a synchronized effect, it'll show you what's going on, and you can resize the heck out of it. So anyway, I was looking around the guy's website. This is free, by the way, and I think I've got a link down below for this. Links down below for everything I've talked about. So anyway, it's an oscilloscope. But also free on the guy's website is this thing. Where is it? Where did I put it? Where did I put it? This filter. And you know, I figured I'd try it because it was free. It's a nice sounding filter. It does one thing. It does it really well. And it's a state variable filter. With either a 12 or a 24 dB slope. Now, if you go into advanced mode, where's our expert mode, you then get a high pass and low pass that you can set separately. And what I don't know, yeah, you can link the filters. Yeah. But I like the idea unlinked better because you have separate drive on your high and low frequencies. And like I said, free, link below from Baumschenke Machines. And we can drive that into, what is this other thing that I had going on here? Oh, that's it, okay. You know, and I'm running the whole thing through the quad delay in Bitwig. Bitwig's delays are, and many of the Bitwig effects are bonkers. I mean, just, you know, turn that back off. You can put in like the reverb and the delays, you can put things into all of the feedback loops. You know, it's just like, so you can put effects within the feedback loops. You know, they really, really thinking of stuff, you know. I was trying to do some of that kind of stuff in Ableton Live a while back, and the patching, you know, the virtual patching that I had to do to make it work was simply bonkers. Just crazy stuff. So to make it work. Oh, I know what I was trying to do. I was trying to put stuff in a feedback loop of a looper. And it was a nightmare to get it to go in Ableton Live. I did finally figure out a way to do it, but it's like, you know, just absolutely convoluted. Not as convoluted as trying to do it in hardware, but with the hardware that I have anyway. So anyway, that's pretty much what I had. Let me look at the show notes real quick. So I talked last week or the week before, whatever it was, about phasing and you know, the terminology and whatnot, and I think that's going to end up being a video all on its own. I haven't started on it yet, but it's not. I think it's too big a topic to throw into a segment on a Monday night. So I'll be working on that. That'll get out eventually. And then I still don't have any answer back. We were talking about where the presets get stored in Ultra. We determined it was an SQLite database, but you can't export a single preset, and to you know, just have a separate copy of that preset without going through their store. You got to upload a pack, the whole shooting works. So I still haven't got any answer back whether they're even going to consider adding that. I did note that several other people want the feature, but I don't know. So like I say, it's an SQLite database. It shouldn't be that, as Quasar said a couple weeks ago, that you know, it shouldn't be that hard to do. So, you know, at some point, we'll fool with that. As I said, somebody smarter than me could do it. I might find a robot to do that. Paul, I did look briefly at it. I didn't. I don't know. As much as I loved my DP4 in hardware, I don't know that I need it in software, to be honest with you. I mean, it's a great sounding device, and the demo, I listened to the demos. It sounds, yeah, it sounds like I remember the DP4 sounding. But I guess, like I said, I just don't think it's something that I need at this point. I have other ways to do similar things. No, it's not going to sound exactly the same, anything that I might come up with. But I don't know that at this point anyway that I'm gonna shell out $75 for it. You know, of course, you all know me. In 2 weeks, I could change my mind. You know, but no, I actually have some other things that I have to have to deal with. I got smart. I have the mic mute now in 2 different places. So anyway, I could change my mind, but at this point, I'm probably going to pass on it for the time being. I'll know that it's out there if I want it. And like I said, I think sounds like he did a great job. Now, you know, you could have it in the jam next month, and I'll hear it and say, oh yeah, gotta have it. I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see. I got to say, we did the monthly jam here, the electronic music, the EMPS jam at Paul's house yesterday, and I played with his Roland SH-201, and I'll tell you, that is a fun little synthesizer. I commented on it in one of the Discords yesterday, or early this morning. I can't remember which. But anyway, that's a fun little synthesizer. I still think I like the original SH-01 GAIA better, but that was a lot of fun playing with that. So anyway, I think it being 9:30 and being the end of my appointed time, even though Jeff's not streaming. Yeah, that's what I like. That's one thing. What you see is what you get. And the original GAIA is pretty much the same way. The original GAIA has the interesting tidbit, which I've talked about in the past, about being kind of what I consider to be pretty close to the optimal synth architecture, in that basically you have 3 individual synthesizers in one that can be added together to each other too. It's a Roland called it a virtual analog synth. It's not really, but it's close enough. Basically, the SH-01 uses single shot waveforms to give you your basic, you know, sine, saw, you know, all those things. So there's basically 3 of these synth strips in the thing that all come together at the end. Unlike most 3 oscillator synthesizers, though, each oscillator has its own set of envelopes, LFOs, and filter, completely separate. Now you can link you can link them together if you want, like 2 layers together, and then have a 3rd layer that does something else, or you can make one big massive synth out of it. But that gives a lot of depth to the sound. Like you could start with a basic patch in one, and then or in all 3, and then do subtle filter variations to each layer, or subtle LFO and envelope variations in each layer, so so the interplay is different. Very cool synth, you know, and which I, you know, almost bought like 3 times and kick myself now for not having bought one. But the SH-201 is also a lot of fun in its own way. The modulation was nice. It's you know, it's got 2 LFOs that can each go to 2 different places in differing amounts. You know, nicely laid out, good sounding synth. So anyway, like I said, it's a little after 9:30, and I'm going to, unless there's anything else you guys got, I'm going to wind down, I think. I have no idea what this sounds like anymore, but so. Yeah, so, and they're not horrifically expensive now, Paul, if you can find them. There's not a lot of them out there. I did look. Oh, no problem, Jeff. Thank you for coming. Thank everybody for coming. Jeff and Paul and Danny and Quasor, and I think there was someone else here earlier on too. I don't want to miss anybody. Mixmaster, thank you. And that got everybody. Whoops. Don't do that, Garen. I broke the chat. Anyway. Yeah. So, but there we go. Came back. So I looked at them online. They're not horrifically expensive. Good luck. Oh, you get delivered, doctor. Oh, that's not. Yeah. Good luck, Danny. Definitely. They're not, the SH-201s are not horrifically expensive, but they don't seem to be a lot of them out there for sale right now, at least not in the usual places, you know, Reverb and eBay and whatnot. I didn't look much beyond that. But so anyway, thanks everybody. Thanks for coming. Everyone, yeah, be well. Safe travels if you're traveling. I think Jeff, today was your first day back at work, right? I hope everything went well. Like I said, I will catch you all later on. Thanks for coming.